Good evening, folks. So, did I not say we needed at least one game in Vegas? We got it today in the first game. A good sign. 89-73. So, let's talk about some stuff here. We don't want to get too crazy, okay? Here's the thing I've learned, okay? Over the years of being a sports fanatic, let's not get too crazy now, okay? Not too high, not too low. That's the kind of thing, okay? The players follow that credo, so let us follow that as well, okay? First, let's talk about the stats. I'm going to read some stats to you. You're going to listen to me, okay? Then we're going to talk. So for the Fever, Kelsey Mitchell, 34 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. Odyssey Sims, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Natasha Howard, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. Lexi Hull, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Aaliyah Boston, 6 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Off the bench, Brianna Turner, 6 points, 2 rebounds. Shea Petty, 4 points, no rebounds. Michaela Timpson, 2 points. Bree Hall, 2 points, 2 rebounds. And Ariel Powers, no points, 3 rebounds. So let's talk about this. We got the first game. We literally stole the first game in Vegas, okay? When you look at the top players in the game, A'ja Wilson is not listed. Jackie Young is listed instead. So let's talk about that, because A'ja Wilson won her 4th MVP, a record-breaking 4th MVP this year, okay? Remember at the beginning of the year, we talked about the chatter about Nafisa Collier and Caitlyn Clark. And again, Caitlyn Clark will win plenty of MVP awards in her career. She's a babe in the woods, okay? But we talked about that. And I want to make it abundantly clear that the awards, Coach of the Year, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, are not given out for playoff performance. It is given out for regular season play, okay? So A'ja Wilson, up until this point in the playoffs, has been averaging about 29 points a game. She had one game against the Storm where she scored 38 points. So today was definitely an off day for A'ja Wilson, okay? She had 16 points and 13 rebounds, but she also had 4 fouls by the 4th quarter, which could have affected her aggressiveness on the court. Because the last thing anybody wants is to have A'ja Wilson to foul out of a game in a playoff game. So she shot basically 6 of 22 from the field. Okay? And that is not, by any standard, A'ja Wilson's normal performance. So we have to remember that. Okay? We have to remember that. That maybe in the next game, she's going to come out and just rattle the cage. We have to be prepared for that. The Fever has to be prepared for that. So basically what I'm saying is we got to steal the first game. The playoffs are a tough road to hoe all the way to the end. But the Fever is just showing you again the resilience that they have. And I dare say at this point that I think Odyssey Sims might be a keeper, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. And it's not just because of her the fact that she has stepped up and has played well. Of all of the hardship signings, Odyssey Sims has been the most consistent. And she had 17 points today, okay? So let me tell you my thought process here. We're looking at, Sydney Colson. And I'm looking at Tyrese Halliburton. And Tyrese Halliburton injured his ACL in the finals, the NBA finals last year. He is already ruled out of the 2026 season. He's not playing at all in 2026. The season's already gone. It's just beginning, and he's done for the year. Sydney Colson will not be back next year. I don't believe she'll be back for the Fever next year. She's also older than Tyrese Halliburton is. So they need a guard. It's clear. The starting guards will be Caitlyn Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. And everybody should remember back to Caitlyn Clark's rookie season, how good they were on the court together. And that will repeat itself when Caitlyn Clark is healthy. But we need some guards off the bench. I know we have Sophie Cunningham. I really want them to sign Sophie Cunningham again. I do. And I know we have Lexi Hull. But I believe Odyssey Sims is a keeper at this point. I have no reason to believe otherwise, unless she kind of just falls off the charts for the rest of the playoffs. Okay? We'll have to see how that goes. And I still am a believer that they need a power forward. They need a power forward. It's as simple as that. I know Natasha Howard played great today. 12 points, 11 boards. That's great. That's great play. She's a small forward. We need a power forward too. We need, Larry Bird was a small forward. Okay? Larry Bird was a small forward. Kevin McHale was a power forward. We need a power forward. And I said that before the playoffs started. And then Aaliyah Boston can focus on being the center. She only had 6 points today. We need her in the paint. We need her in the paint on the pick and roll with Caitlyn Clark. 6 points, 11 boards, that's great. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, A'ja Wilson had 13 boards. Aaliyah Boston matched her intensity with 11 boards. That works for me. So that's where we are. We got to steal the first game, and I'm really happy today. And I'm sure the Fever is ecstatic, okay? I'm absolutely positive. But they need to keep their heads about them, because it's just the first game. And a lot of people are picking, the Las Vegas Aces in 5. No one's saying they're going to sweep. No one said that. So maybe they took the Fever a little bit lightly today. No one should take the Fever lightly. That's a mistake, okay? That is a mistake. They have shown grit and toughness, and I dare say if Caitlyn Clark were in the lineup, they would be dominating at this point. Okay? They need a real floor general, and that's what she is. And Stephanie White has said that having her in the huddle when they are together on the sidelines is invaluable because of the stuff she sees on the floor. That is why they're calling her Coach Caitlyn, because Caitlyn Clark has a basketball IQ that is off the charts. So just imagine the Fever with her and a totally healthy squad in 2026. They can dominate, folks. They can dominate with Aaliyah Boston. They can dominate with Lexi Hull, with Sophie Cunningham. And they need to figure out the rest of the roster. Will Natasha Howard be back? She was on a 1-year contract. They need to figure that out. And if Natasha Howard is back, we need a real power forward. We need to figure out where Michaela Timpson fits in. She does belong on this team. She is on a 4-year standard rookie contract. They need to develop her. She is going to be a great player for the Fever. Okay? And once they do this, they can be a dominant team. They can be a dominant team. So let's talk a little bit about the New York Liberty. Because going into the season, everybody was saying it was the Liberty and the Lynx, the Liberty and the Lynx, and the Liberty and the Lynx. And let me just juxtapose a couple things here. Sandy Brondello, no one's coming down on Sandy Brondello because the Liberty got knocked out. Okay? But nobody's willing to give Stephanie White any kudos for what she has managed to do with injuries all season long. Okay? I love Sandy Brondello. Don't get me wrong. I do. I think she's a magnificent coach. And personally, I know there are a lot of power forwards in the league, but my prototypical power forward is Stewie. And she's 31 years old, and she has announced that she will be back next year. I want a power forward like Stewie. That's what I want. I want a power forward like Stewie. Okay? And Stewie played with a sprained MCL in the final game where they got knocked out. And she gave it her all. She had actually a good game. But, folks, it is hard to repeat as a champion in the WNBA, just as it is in the NBA. It is very hard to do that. So, my point is, we need a power forward, and we need to give Stephanie White a break, okay? Stephanie White is not interested in any way in taking away Caitlyn Clark's game, okay? That was never an issue, and Caitlyn Clark doesn't view this that way. Caitlyn Clark actually likes Stephanie White. She has a lot of respect for her. So we need to be real here. Nobody coming out of college plays college ball in the WNBA. It's a different animal. You take the skills that you have honed in college and you adapt them to professional play. And players who don't adapt do not have either successful or long careers. And anybody who is a player understands that. The people who don't understand that are the fans. Caitlyn Clark is, for all intents and purposes, still a rookie. She only played 13 games this year. She has a lot to learn, and she has said that. But Caitlyn Clark will be a dominant player in the WNBA next year. And she has a basketball IQ that will ensure that she is a dominant player because she knows what needs to be done. As she had said, when I am not scoring well, I am finding ways to set up my teammates because I take as much pride in setting up my teammates as I do scoring for myself. That is what a team player is all about. It's not worrying about their stats or padding their stats. It's, I am an important cog in this team. This is not tennis, okay? This is not golf. This is not an individual sport. This is a team sport. And Caitlyn Clark will come back and she will score a lot of points and she will have a lot of assists. And I dare say, if she comes back healthy, she can have a double-double every damn night. And I still believe that. I believe had she been healthy this year, that's what you would have seen. And you would have seen the Indiana Fever be considered one of the elite teams in the WNBA this year. It did not work out that way because not only did they lose Caitlyn Clark, but they also lost Sophie Cunningham, who was great off the bench and is a great player to have on this team. And I sincerely hope they bring her back. Beyond that, we'll see where we go from here. But the good news tonight is that we took the first game in Las Vegas. We've got another game on Tuesday night. Let's see what we can do with that. We know A'ja Wilson is going to be on fire. We're going to have to deal with that. Never too high, never too low. Let's just keep fighting. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll show some, I don't know. Maybe we'll show some Caitlyn Clark video from college. We'll figure something out. But we'll be seeing you sometime tomorrow. Have a great night.